Bring smiles to the world, we're hitting first base. Marty Lurie with friends, home run. You know the ways and the trends of stories all with the match of the block. It's Marty and friends. Marty and friends.
All right, great to have you with us. Well, I'll tell you something. These games are not easy. And Dwayne said this years ago, the torture, and it was aptly put. This is torture to go through these games. Another 2-run game. And if you look at, they played 106 games, and I think there's something like 45 of them have been 1 or 2-run games, something ridiculous, some ridiculous number, maybe 60. I don't know what it is, but this is the San Francisco Giants of 2025. They tease you and they get close. They've got some pitching. They've got this, they've got that. But when it comes down to winning games, they just don't win games. And they lose a tough one. They get swept by the Mets in the series. They go 0 for 23 the whole weekend with runners in scoring position. That's hard to do. Last time that happened, you got to go back to 1931. 1931, almost 100 years. The last time as Giants team went through a weekend with a runner without hitting with a runner in scoring position. And one comment as we're going to get going. Glenn Kuiper obviously is with us. Eric is here. Larry Krueger is supposed to join us. MF made a good point about Adames. And, you know, Adames struck out in that 9th inning. And why is he arguing the first pitch of the at-bat? It ruined the at-bat. It did. Mm-hmm. It took him out of that at-bat. And Glenn will point out to us, I'm sure, what that at-bat meant in the 9th inning. Giants had bases loaded and 1 out, and Diaz in trouble, and he strikes out. Adames looking, and then Chapman swinging, and that ends the 9th inning. So, all right, that's enough from me. Glenn Kuiper's with us. Eric, Glenn, your thoughts on this weekend and where we're going, because Thursday is coming up quickly.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you think about this a lot, and it's incredibly frustrating watching this team. And to me, we all saw a little bit of light there in Atlanta, right? And even and we're talking offensively, but even that last game in Toronto where they lost, and then they went to Atlanta. And we saw the offense, look pretty good at bats. They were scoring runs. And it's sort of, we keep feeling like, well, there's a start. Okay, now this needs to go for a while. This offense needs to click for a while. And then you come home and it falls right back to where it was before. That to me is the frustrating part, because you did see, a little bit of progress in that, in that series against the Braves offensively. And then, I don't know. And on little things to me, as you guys know, frustrate me. Like early in the game, the first and third after the hit and run, 1 out, you just got to put the ball in play, and Bailey strikes out. I understand that happens, but the Mets had the same thing right after that, first and third, 1 out. And Lindor just says, I'm going to spread out. I'm just going to make sure I make contact. He hits a little chopper over the mound. He makes it out, but the run scores. And the Adames at bat, and Willie's been swinging well, for a while now. But bases loaded, 1 out, 5-3 game. He saw 3 fastballs, and he only swung at 1 of them. That's frustrating to me. You got to let it rip, man. And they were all strikes. The first pitch was a strike. The third pitch was a strike. Stuff like that is frustrating to me. And it's hard to go for 23 with runners in scoring position. So I don't know. I'm sort of at a loss now, guys, with trying to figure out, how this thing can get better, how they can improve offensively, because we've talked about this for, 3 months now. And I don't think we've come to a solution. We saw big progress from Devers in that Atlanta series. He looked great. He was 7 for 14 in the series. and comes here and it's 1 for 12. I don't know. I'm a little frustrated with it all. And if I'm frustrated and Eric's frustrated and Marty's frustrated, you can imagine how the players are, because they're wearing this hard. There's no doubt about it. So anyways, guys, before I just got an email from the Giants, and it says Carson Whisenhunt is going to start tomorrow. So
I saw that.
So I just got it. So anyway, so that's at least that's fun news that we can smile about at least. So
yeah. Well, this is 106 games, and the offense is still one of the worst in baseball. Yeah. And Buster Posey has got to make some decisions coming up for Thursday. Now, this series was a lost series for the Giants. Defensively, they were terrible on Friday night. Last night, they couldn't get the run when they needed the run. I thought Bob Melvin made a huge mistake last night in not getting Randy Rodriguez in the game. And Vientos got that double off of Robbie Ray. Never should have happened, never should have faced him. And that one is on Bob Melvin, I think, on that one. Today, he got Randy Rodriguez in the game at the right time. But, the Mets took him deep a couple of times, and it's going to happen. And he's had a tremendous season. But the issue for me is, what do you do by Thursday? Now, Carson Whisenhunt pitches tomorrow. If this team has any hope of getting into a playoff spot, which that third spot is still, you're still dealing with the Padres, you're dealing with the Reds, you're dealing with the Cardinals, you're dealing with the Giants. 4 teams that have trouble all the time. There's trouble all the time. The Reds win 4, then they lose 3. And if they get Hunter Green back, they may be trouble. The Padres, we're going to do something by Thursday. They're having trouble with their rotation and scoring runs too. Cardinals, same story. So there's still a lot of season to go and a lot to go on. But what do you do if you're the Giants? And it does require some nerve here on Posey's part. I mean, he needs a pitcher. You can't go down the stretch with a bullpen game and Carson Whisenhunt and something like that. You can't go down the stretch. Larry Kruger joins us. Larry, nice to see you.
Hi, Larry.
Hey.
You can't go down the stretch with Carson Whisenhunt and bullpen games and all that kind of stuff, and Verlander. It's not going to work. So there has to be a pitching change. That's got to happen. But the big question for me tonight is, at some point you got to do something offensively. You have to do something offensively. It's enough of Dom Smith. It's enough of Flores. Enough of Yastrzemski. Bailey is here, but you're going to have to get somebody to give him some help. The hitting is killing him. It's just killing him. 0 for 23 on the weekend. So Glenn had his say. Glenn's going to be leaving in a few minutes. Let me get Eric on here, and we'll get Larry's thoughts on tonight as well.
And to kind of piggyback on what Glenn was talking about, you got Willy Adames coming up in that ninth inning. What happened in the previous 2 at-bats? Well, you had Iglesias hit Ramos. I don't know what he hit, but he hit Ramos. And then he walks Devers. So what do you think he's going to do? He's probably going to throw a lot of fastballs. You're probably going to get a steady diet of fastballs because he can't afford to walk another guy, because then you're walking in a run. So I don't understand why Adames didn't have a better approach there in that ninth inning. It just, come on, man, you're getting paid the big bucks to come through in situations like that. So to that point, it was tough to see. And, and it wasn't really the pitching this time. I was concerned about the pitching today going in, with a bullpen game against Senga. I'm like, man, this is going to be a tall order. But the pitching was okay. I think he left Bivens in there, talking about Melvin, left Bivens in there a little bit too long. Rodriguez, I mean, gosh, that home run down the line, the guy just went down there and scooped it. I mean, it happens sometimes, but as you said, Marty, the hitting 0 for 23. I don't know how you do that in a 3-game series. How do you go 0 for 23 when you got Chapman out there hitting home runs? I mean, they got solid contact yesterday had solid contact. The first game had solid contact, but they seem to always find gloves. But man, there's some holes in there. Yastrzemski, I've seen enough. I'm sorry. He's got a great glove, but I've seen enough of Mike Yastrzemski. And poor Matos. Look, I want to give the kid a run, but if you're at go time, I mean, it's almost like a day late and a dollar short. The Giants probably should have gave him a run last year, but he's swinging at first pitches about 6 inches above the zone, and it's just, come on. I just want to see something come out of right field. And Marty, you're right. You got first base and catching. That's a bit of a hole too. So something's going to have to happen if they want to do anything. They're going to have to address this lineup somehow, some way. The big guys got to hit, but they also got to go get someone, whether it's the right field or first base.
Blair?
Well, what's really discouraging is that the Giants don't hit in their own yard, and they don't hit. It was I don't want to say it was predictable, but you had 2 warm weather, great to hit games in Atlanta where they scored 9 runs back to back. And then I was looking at the schedule for the Mets series, and I'm like, okay, here they come back to sea level and cold weather and how will they hit? And I'm like, well, maybe they'll hit well in the day game, but there was no day game here. It was night game, and then, kind of evening game. The Mets are just, one of the best teams. The Giants are thoroughly outclassed, but they just didn't hit. They had their chances in the second game in the series. Ray gave them a shot. They had a shot to win today. But you can't. It's like the bats just totally evaporated. They badly need they've got a huge hole at second base in their lineup, and it's just Bailey. They're one short with Bailey because Bailey's a defensive player, and then Flores has been really hot early and then really cold over the last couple months. And I don't think Yastrzemski, even though I think he's a great, he's been a good Giant, and I just don't think he's a starter. I think he's a bench guy, but on this team he has to be a starter. So they're just, we saw these, we saw the schedule, right? It was a bunch against two teams, one good team, one bad team. They haven't been able to handle the good team. We'll see if they can handle the bad team. But yeah, and this is JD, John Dickinson and I debated this on KNBR this week, and I kind of brought it up that maybe the Giants ought to think about, they have a great option to sell in Robbie Ray. And Robbie Ray might get you Spencer Jones or somebody good, somebody significant prospect-wise. I know Giants fans want it now, but it doesn't seem like it's going to happen now. It's like if you let this thing organically play out, you only have 3 more days till the deadline. It's unfortunate because if they had 2 more weeks, I think they would have a definitive feel for if they're in or out. But if you're trading to add at this point, have you seen anything since the break that says that this team is going on a playoff run? I haven't.
Yeah,
tough call.
Yeah, good. Larry makes a good point. Larry, I don't know if you saw it. We just right before you came on, the Giants announced that Wisenhunt is going to start tomorrow. So,
I didn't see that. Yeah, and I think that makes sense. I think that makes sense, right? You want to find out what it,
Yep.
Or do you look? I don't know what you guys said about it, but do you guys view this as a showcase for him, like
Maybe.
in a deal, or do you think this is just this is the guy they got to go to because of their in-house depth, rotation issue?
I think they need him.
They need him.
I think they need him right now.
They got.
Where are they? Am I missing something here? You got Webb, who's getting knocked around here. I've said this last week and the week before. He looks tired to me. The ball doesn't have that snap to it that it had earlier. You got Ray, who's doing a good job, but he's still 5 2/3, 6 innings and a lot of pitches. You got Verlander, so you're praying that he does what he did against Atlanta, that somehow that can continue for the next 10 or 12 starts with him. And then where do you go after that? Let's talk pitching for a second. But what does the rotation look like? What it doesn't Posey have? He has to get somebody to go into this rotation. Now, if Wisenhunt can pitch and stay up here, terrific. But we've seen what happens with young players, with rookies. We're talking about a pennant race here. They need 2 pitchers, in my opinion, right?
Right.
Yeah, maybe you give Wisenhunt his shot here. He's going to have a shot, and then if you can get somebody at the deadline, some names that we've thrown out there.
You need one for sure. I don't know, Roop. You hope Roop comes back.
Yeah,
Right.
You hope he comes back.
but
But
I think the hitting is still the issue. Yeah, my call is this. I think if they do anything at the deadline, I could see it being significant, but significant not just for this year, but in maybe
For
something.
the future.
Yeah, I do. I don't, but my point is that maybe somebody on the team right now that's playing, maybe they go, right? Maybe you trade from, look around.
there aren't many choices. I mean, Bailey.
Okay, let me ask you guys this question. And in fairness to the conversation, I think we have a pretty good idea what kind of player Buster wants, right? Have good baseball instincts, play smart, be a good defender. Obviously you're gonna hit if you got to hit if you're out there. But I think we know what Buster likes, and Buster wants players that kind of fit his criteria, because I think he knows what this organization, he knows what it takes to win. I think we could all agree on that. So look around. Who fit? Is Elliot Ramos his player? What do you guys think?
I don't think so.
Probably.
Larry, I think Elliot Ramos is Buster's kind of player, and I'm not criticizing him. I'm just saying, do you think he fits that category?
I say no.
Yeah, I don't know. I would say probably no. But he is a homegrown player, and he definitely is a talented player. But yeah, I kind of wondered that about Jung-Hoo Lee. Is Jung-Hoo Lee his guy? I mean, would he have gone for Jung-Hoo Lee? And I don't know. I mean, I do agree with Glenn that I think there will be a deal, and I think it will be a significant deal. But I think it's going to be more like a Devers deal, where you're looking at position. Like there was rumors this week, and I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this. But there was rumors this week that the Giants might have interest in Adley Rutschman.
I've heard that too.
Now that's an eye opener. That's an eye opener.
Yeah.
So that would fit, because he's controlled for a couple more years.
Yeah.
That would fit with the, what I've kind of envisioned, which is a position player acquisition that's somebody that's controllable into the future. So that if you win this year, great, but that the deals weren't made with any kind of, they're not going to acquire anybody who's free at the end of the year, nor should they. They should look to continue to build with position players that are controllable bats into 26, 27.
Yeah,
if you can find that piece, that's what I'd be looking for.
Yeah.
And as far as pitching is concerned, maybe there's news today. It looks like Seth Lugo and the Kansas City Royals are in agreement for an extension. So Seth Lugo is off the board. So that kind of takes another arm that could have potentially been a Giant, because you would have had another year of control with him in 2026, if I'm not mistaken.
Charlie Morton.
Maybe it's going to be a Charlie Morton. And look, maybe that could be a deal. Maybe it could be Rutschman and Charlie Morton. Yeah.
It could be a big deal with the Orioles. I mean, there's also Ryan O'Hearn. They have other pieces, but yeah, I mean, if you, I think it's something that will take, it will tell the clubhouse that, hey, we're still going for it. It's not a sell kind of a trade, but I think it's also going to be the kind of deal that tells the Giants fans that, we may be able to get it done, but if we can't get it done, we're still looking to build towards 26.
Yeah, and 27 or two. Yeah, and my feeling is, and I said it to Marty before we came on, Larry, is that we've seen this team now, and we've also talked about, hey, there's some outfielders out there they could add, Ramon Laureano or Harrison Bader, a right-handed hitter, but those. I mean, are those guys going to lead you to the postseason?
No.
Right? So, I mean, that's why I think they probably need to look bigger.
Look, they were built on pitching and defense, and the defense stinks right now. They're making a lot of mistakes. The left fielder is impossible, and going back on balls going over his head. He gets caught in the corner. He doesn't get the ball in. His arm is terrible. He's a DH, and I think that's what we're seeing here. And the pitching is falling apart. And if you think that you're going to be able to build a team that's just going to crush the ball at this ballpark, it's not going to happen. They need some line drive hitters. They need people to hit the ball the other way. They need a pepper pot kind of second baseman like Glenn Kuiper was when he played ball. They need the Dwaynes, those kind of guys back.
How about the guy in Cleveland?
Yeah.
That's the kind of guy. That's the kind of player.
So, to answer your question on Ramos, I think Ramos is expendable. I think he's got some value. I think he can be like an Adolis Garcia, in Texas, perhaps. You could maybe make that swap, Texas, but Texas is back in it. Yeah. Bochy's got Texas winning again. They're back in this thing. They may not be unloading players. So I think I'm with you guys. I would love to see an impact trade like a Stephen Kwan, because Cleveland, in all reality, is not going to catch Detroit, even though Detroit can't get out of their own way right now. Maybe Kwan is someone that would be available. Jung Ho Lee is killing him right now.
What would it take to get a Kwan? Would it take quite a bit? I mean, it seems like it would take quite a bit.
I think it could. I do. It may take Ramos.
It may take Ramos. Yeah. Okay.
These deals that we've seen go down so far, it ends up you get the 7th prospect and the 13th prospect. We're not talking about, the top of the Giants prospect list to get any of these guys. So the Giants can make moves, and I think Ramos is an expendable player.
Okay. They got some outfield. They got pretty good outfield depth.
I'll tell you another thing. I think Bailey is expendable. I think if somebody wanted Bailey, if someone wanted Bailey, I would absolutely consider moving Bailey. There's no question. All these other pitchers, Beck and Jelly and Bivens, and they have very little value in the market. Roop had value, but he got hurt. So to answer everyone's question, the chat is terrific.
Yeah, they're going at it.
Everyone's right on everything. I wish we could read all this stuff. But you've got to rebuild the defense first. And that's going to take some work in left field, and it's going to take some work at second base right now. Because Wisely makes me nervous there. Schmidt doesn't have great range. He's really a third baseman. And Fitzgerald is buried in Sacramento. So you need a second baseman and a left fielder for me for defense. So, Glenn, I know you got to run.
Yeah, I do, unfortunately, and I don't mean to bail on you guys, but I got a birthday party to go to. But
okay, well, we'll do it next week. I like these Sunday wrap-ups.
I've thrown out some names for you guys to kick around. Okay.
All right.
Your work here is done.
My work here, that's right. All right. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right. Take care.
Good to see you.
All right, Larry. If you had to make a move right now, you have to get, if you're competitive, look, they're getting 40,000 a game out here. And I know Dan says by the end of August, so, the fans won't come back. I think the fans are into this team for some reason. They're out there. They like the Jung Ho Lee thing. They're into this team. But if you had to make a move, and Posey has got to do something here. This team is reeling. They're 2-7 since the break. They've lost, 9 of 11, something like that, of their last 11 games. What do you do first? Where do you go first?
Well, I mean, first of all, I would look at each one of these as opportunities to improve, and then you've got to decide when are you going for it? When are you trying to be good, right? It's like, so you're not going to trade anybody that you like in the future, and you're not going to trade for guys who are free agents at the end of the year, right? You want to keep building. So, I mean, that's the thing, but you also don't want to sell, right? I mean, you have Robbie Ray, and Robbie Ray would be very attractive. You might be able to get, maybe some of the best players on the market. Spencer Jones, the Yankees have this great outfielder he strikes out a lot, but he's doing it in AAA. He's a big time power hitter. You could get him probably for Robbie Ray, but do you want to give up the farm and give up the hope on 2025? If you trade Robbie Ray, you're kind of giving up the farm on the years. So, I don't have a problem with that because I don't really think the Giants are in it. I think if you left the Giants as is for the next couple weeks, they'd be out of it. I mean, even with the third wild card, they're sinking like a stone. They're free falling. They're losing every day. Their pitching was great early. They leaned on it too much. Now their pitchers are hurt. Now they need reinforcements. Okay, but then why would you go get pitching reinforcements on a team that can't score 3 runs a game? So, I think if you're really honest with yourself, and I think if you're honest with where the Giants are, they're not there, right? This is not their year. They could try to force it, but I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't trade a bunch of their assets to try to win now. I would look for the highest, the best players on the market that you think for whatever reason should not be on the market, and I'd try to pick them off. Now, who are we talking about? Personally, I'm looking at Eugenio Suarez doesn't fit, right? He's a third baseman. They don't need a third baseman. He's going to cost a ton. He's a divisional bat. He doesn't fit. But you need some offensive players, and I'm looking at Baltimore has Ryan O'Hearn. He is a free agent at the season's end, so I don't know if that makes sense. But if you could make a deal that included Adley Rutschman and get him signed, that would interest me. The Pirates are a team that would interest me. I mean,
how about Tommy Pham? Is it worth it, Tommy Pham?
No, I don't think Tommy Pham's worth it, but the center fielder is an all-star. And he's just not. He hasn't grown up. He's so young, and I just think that a guy like O'Neal Cruz is a guy that I absolutely want to watch. I mean, this guy's got he's got MVP kind of tools. So if I could move Jung-Hoo Lee or Ramos in a deal with the Pirates and get an O'Neal Cruz, I would do that because O'Neal Cruz is probably the best player that's available this trade cycle, and he's got MVP potential. And yeah, he's a little young, he's a little immature, he's not quite where you want, but you're not ready to win anyway. So that's the kind of player that the Giants, for whatever reason, don't develop, can't find, and he's going to be moved here. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that O'Neal Cruz is available, and he is a huge talent. I mean, I love Stephen Kwan as well, but Stephen Kwan is a slasher. He's a high average slasher. He's a great defensive player. He's different. I mean, he's not a middle of the order bat that people are gonna, when the Giants come to town, it's bye baby. They're not. Stephen Kwan is not. He would be awesome if you had a lineup of mashers, but you don't. You're still building your lineup. So that O'Neal Cruz is the guy that I'd go after, and I would, they also have other guys, right? They got Andrew. I mean, if you were trying to make a deal with the Pirates and kind of be in it, you could pick up Andrew Heaney. Heaney is a pitcher that you could absolutely use. You could pick up Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. He's a second baseman that you could absolutely use. They also have Brian Reynolds. They also have Bednar. They also, and you mentioned Pham. I'm not a Pham guy, but I am an O'Neal Cruz guy. So I'm looking at the market, and I'm saying who's really, really awesome, who you might be able to pick off. And to me, I mean, we could talk about the center fielder who was with the Cardinals, Bader. I mean, he's nice, he's all right, but he's just a fill-in guy. O'Neal Cruz might win the MVP someday.
Yeah,
and he's great.
I wanted Grichuk I don't know
Richard-
how he ended up in Kansas City. I thought he would be a good guy to have in the outfield.
He would have been.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't
Right-handed hitter.
expect the Royals to be. I didn't expect the Royals to be buying.
Look, this offense is not capable of carrying this ball club. It's not. There are too many holes here. And I'll say it again. I'm looking at the scorecard. Yastrzemski, Smith, Bailey, and Wisely. You got 4 in a row that for a pitcher, if he can maneuver his way past Adames and Chapman, you got to wait 2 innings or 3 innings until you got a shot again, until you get Devers up.
Marty, what do you think of a big trade, like a big trade with the Pirates, where you trade some prospects, but you also trade a Jung-Hoo Lee and you trade a Ramos, but you get back Brian Reynolds back in the organization, and you get O'Neal Cruz, and you get. I mean, because I think I'm for at this point a big trade that shakes it up a little bit, and I'm not a big. I love Ramos. But I mean, he is really struggling defensively and left, and he's hurting the team. And then the base running. Well, what the heck was that base running? I mean, what are you doing? What are you doing there? I mean, it's not a force play, and you got a ground ball to the left side, and you ran into an easy out. I mean, this is not Continental Little League Double A. I mean, this is just embarrassing.
Last Sunday, and I tweeted this is one of my bigger tweets this week, that Ramos should be benched. It's the one way the manager has a way of asserting himself and saying, okay, you're not playing up to your capability or what we want, and you're going to sit on the bench. Bobby Knight did it, and, all the great coaches have done it, and the bench is very powerful. Ramos should be on the bench, but they can't afford to do it because he hits for whatever they do. If it leads off or hits second, he's going to hit a little bit. But he is making too many mistakes. And I feel for the kid. He plays every day. He plays hurt. He's never out of the lineup. But he's killing them right now defensively, but they need the bat. But he ought to sit down for a few days. And I'm with you. If you can make a trade.
A big trade.
And get maybe it's Cincinnati. Even though or maybe it's the Cardinals, teams like that are sort of on the borderline. I don't think it's going to be Arizona, but you get teams that are on the borderline if you can make a big trade. But you are stuck with Chapman, Adames, Devers, and Lee. They are not going anywhere. And I would take Stephen Kwan. In this ballpark, Stephen Kwan.
I mean, yeah, of course.
Stephen Kwan is a factor in this ballpark. And he's a smart.
He's your leadoff. He's going to be your leadoff.
Yeah, he's a smart player too. And Jung-Hoo Lee, look, it's his first.
But you can't have. I mean, sorry to interrupt, but you can't have Jung-Hoo Lee at $19 million and then go get Stephen Kwan. I mean, he walks a lot. He's an ideal leadoff hitter. I mean, he's a 350 on base guy. He's controllable for a couple years, but I mean, eventually with what you would have to trade to get Kwan, you'd want to sign him, and then that's an awful lot of money to the top of the lineup. I don't know. I mean, it's an awful lot of money. I feel like that money's already been spent.
Yeah, Lee is the problem because you're stuck with Lee for 5 years.
But maybe you're not stuck with him if you're willing to take Brian Reynolds from the Pirates. I mean, you're right, Marty, in that you're not going to move Lee without taking back somebody else's big contract. Nobody's just going to take on all that money. But if you had I think Reynolds is, I mean, I could look it up, but I think Reynolds is making a grip of cash as well.
A lot of money. He's having a great year.
He's not having a great year.
Luis Robert of the White Sox.
I love him, but he's having a terrible year.
I know. But
I would take him though. I'd still take him.
Isn't he worth the gamble? It's like Joe Adell, for the Angels. This Wash sat with him for years, and he's finally developed this year.
Are you concerned about Luis Roberts' injury though? He seems to be fragile.
I know, but
he's always on IL.
Probably will give him away. I think they want him out of town. I think they'd give him away. So it's someone like that.
Well, you know what it is if you're willing to take Benintendi's contract, you might be able to get Hauser and Robert for very little. So that's another thing that Giants may want to consider. Do you want to take Andrew Benintendi's contract, which, I've read all the different articles, all the baseball people are saying, hey, if the Chi Sox are going to move Benintendi, they're going to have to pay that thing down. Well, if Giants are rich, they could take on Benintendi, and for their efforts, get Hauser and Robert. It's
so take on some bad money to get some decent players in return. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like you take Benintendi's bad deal off their hands, and then now you take Robert and Hauser away from them, and you don't really give all that much in return. I would look for the big deal. I would hunt the big deal. And to me, the big deal potential teams would be the White Sox, the Pirates, the Orioles, the Diamondbacks, maybe the Cardinals, maybe the A's. Those are the teams that I would be looking at. I mean, maybe the Guardians. If you could get a big deal involving, Quan and Bieber and others, maybe you could make something happen there.
Yeah.
I've heard the Padres are going to try to be real creative.
They will. He's going to do something.
Preller always does something.
But I just keep looking at the scorecard, and I'm looking at Yastrzemski, Smith, Bailey, and Wisely. You just can't do it. We're heading into game 108. That'll be 2/3 of the season. And the pitching is falling apart. So you got to get a pitcher. You've got to get a major league pitcher for this rotation. You have to do it. And
but at what price, Marty? Because, wouldn't you rather
there?
You're not trading any good prospects away just to get a pitcher so that you can finish this year. You're so bad offensively that I don't know that I would trade any. Like, if I can get a pitcher cheaply, okay, but I'm not trading any real prospects or anybody any part of my future for a pitcher when I can't hit.
Yeah, but you don't have to. You can give up number 7, number 13. You can give those guys up because that's why you have a draft, and that's why you develop Dakota Jordan and Bo Davidson and all these names and that we hear all the time. Well, you got to part with those. It's like having money. It's like having a printing press in the basement. When you got a minor league system, use it.
Use it
because you're going to replenish it.
Every year, right? Every year, every summer, you get a draft. Every winter, you get the international draft.
Yeah, if I could get a pitcher that can help me, like if you want to talk about Bieber, a guy, take a risk on a guy like that, I would do it. Zach Eflin, I don't know, take a shot. You need a professional pitcher to go in this slot here. They don't have one right now. Am I wrong? Am I missing something here?
No, but I think Wisenhunt's, I know people are like a little skeptical on Wisenhunt because he's been in the minors a long time, but I'll tell you right now, I've seen enough of that fastball changeup combo. That is a major league 2-pitch combo. Now, I don't know what he's got other than that, but I don't think he's going to be like, I don't think it's going to be like, oh, watch this guy get ripped. I don't think so, man. He's got a big time fastball. He's got a big time changeup. So I think he's going to do okay. I really do.
All right. Look, I hope he does. There's been a reason why he hasn't come up, into the big league. So they've had him down. They've brought everybody else. The Tang, they were going to bring him up.
You can get Zach Littell from the Rays, but he's a free agent at the end of the year. He was here before, and I could see them doing that kind of a deal. But you're not trading anything of your future for Zach Littell.
No, you're not. But guys
not
like
for
that,
a rental. Yeah,
and they're in a position because of injuries and how Verlander's pitched to need some more professional pitching. They need it right now, and especially with Webb, having struggles right now, and Ray, this is his first full year from the Tommy John surgery. You don't know where he's going to be. I said it last week. I'd consider trading Ray. I would consider trading Ray.
They should,
as opposed to having him next year in a walk year and all that stuff.
Do you think he's going to stay healthy? If I told you, I'll give you $1 million today for Robbie Ray, or I'll give you $5 million at the end of the year if he's healthy, you're going to take that $1 million based on his track record. Nobody's you're gonna risk that? No way. No way. I would say, the Giants they're gonna look the gift horse in the mouth again. They got Carlos Rodon, and amazingly he was healthy at the deadline. But did they trade him in? No. So I mean, it's like they need to, if they're really trying to accelerate the rebuild. I think you got to try to turn Robbie Ray into something. I'll tell you the guy that I would be interested in if I could get Baltimore. If I could get an Adley Rushman, Ryan O'Hearn trade. They have a reliever named Dominguez. I don't know have you guys seen Sir Anthony Dominguez?
Yeah, he's used to be on the Phillies. Sir Anthony.
He's one of the Phillies, yeah. This guy throws smoke. I mean, serious smoke. I mean, we're talking about high 90s heat. And I would love to see them get another arm, because I do think, their pen is a little fragile. If you're building, I wouldn't mind, a piece like Dominguez. I mean, I just think that he's a free agent at the end of the year. He's making $8 million this year. The guy he's 30. He's not old. The guy throws 98. He's got 97 on the sinker. I mean, he's striking out 31% of the guys he's facing. I mean, he's been big time. Sir Anthony Dominguez would be an arm that I would want to get out of Baltimore if I could.
Flores, Wilmer, I would trade him.
Oh, yeah.
He can help a contender. He's so tough off the bench. Still gives you a good at bat off the bench. Yastrzemski, I would replace him. I don't know what you can get for him, but I would clearly replace him. And again, I'll tell you, I would take a chance in trading Bailey. I don't think he's ever going to hit, ever. And I think, for all his pitch framing and all that stuff, he's killing them offensively.
He could go to Baltimore. Marty, if they make this trade that I'm talking about with, a big trade with the Orioles, I could see him going to Baltimore. Why? Because Baltimore's got a lefty hitting prospect catcher. And he might be the perfect complement to that, to that lefty hitting catcher. And you're right. If Buster's evaluation is the same as yours and that he's never going to hit, then he may look at Bailey and say, you know what, he's just one piece that can be flipped in a mega trade. And I'd rather have Adley Rushman, to be completely honest.
Yeah. Well,
so maybe you could get Adley and Morton from the Orioles and maybe trade Ramos to Cleveland and get freaking Quan. Now you got two bats in the lineup. Links in the lineup.
Yeah. So he's got to do something this week, right? Something's got to happen.
He's got to.
You just can't. Now they play Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh can't score any runs, but you got to face Keller, who's,
he's available. He's another guy who's available.
He's a decent pitcher. They're going to face him tomorrow night. Got Burrows on Wednesday. There's no Skeens in there. There's no Haney in there. So you got, who else am I missing on Pittsburgh? They got somebody else on Tuesday night. I forgot who.
Well, could the Giants and Pirates cook up a big trade we get the first trade of brothers? How about Will Bednar, who's starting to heat up in the Giants farm system, in a package to the Pirates, and see if he can get his brother coming back, David Bednar coming back.
Yeah,
I'd do that.
I talked about him this morning. He got his 100th save, which was a big deal. As a Pittsburgh Pirate, there's only 5 pitchers who've ever had 100 saves for the Pirates. Plus, the Bednars are from Pittsburgh. They went to Mars High School or something in Pittsburgh. So, Bednar, it's a big deal that he's on the team. But heck, I would love to see him. Ryan Walker is your 7th inning guy, and he walks he's still got great stuff. But boy, you probably can replace him and probably move him. Mm-hmm. So this is all on Buster's plate. It's all on Buster's plate, because what are they now? 3.5 back of San Diego, something like that.
Something like that, 3 or 3.5. Yeah.
And a trade, trades are powerful things. Look, if you make the right kind of trade, you can shape the whole experience for the fans. And I think if you make a trade that has guys who are free agents at the end of the year, and then you fall out of it, it's a big bummer. But if you acquire some really talented young players, and your focus is like, hey, we want to keep building our lineup of the future, I think Giants fans have enough belief in the franchise, enough belief in Buster, and enough belief in the process of building baseball teams that Giants fans would be happy if they made a big trade, acquired some significant pieces, and still fell short of the playoffs if they could see the plan.
Yeah. You got to have some more young players who are ready for the major leagues.
Yeah.
It's got to happen. And again, I'll go back to it. They're stuck. Jung-Hoo Lee is here, and they've marketed him. They got the hats. They got the hooligans. You got the whole thing. He's not going anywhere. Believe me. Ramos could go. Now that is someone who could go this week. Devers is going nowhere. Devers is a heck of a hitter. He is. The park is probably driving him crazy because he's hit some shots in the park that haven't gone out. But
he's also hit some shots that got caught by the third baseman. Yeah.
When he comes up, I'm saying, okay, something's going to happen here. And he's getting better. He's getting better. Adames is getting better. He is who he is. If he gets a pitch that's straight and it's up in the zone, he can uppercut it and knock it out. But he's playing better ball. He's playing nice defensive ball too.
And he's drawing walks. I like him drawing those walks.
So Adames is okay. Chapman is always going to be Chapman. He can't catch up to the high fastball, but he's going to run into 25. I said this 20, 25 and drive an 80 and hit 240. And he's going to play great defense at third. So that's your team. That's the core part of the team. And now you got to build the team around it. And how is he going to do that? That's the question.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, what is really crushing the Giants? It's not Ramos's defense. It's their horrible against left-handed pitching, and they have Mike Yastrzemski in their starting lineup. I mean, a lefty who I'm sure doesn't do anything against lefties. So, I mean, and their numbers against lefties are not good. But Rosenthal says they need a second baseman and a starting pitcher. But, I think ultimately they need a right-handed offensive upgrade, and they need to get rid of Yastrzemski. I mean, you're bad against left-handed pitching. And right now it's like, I agree. I mean, Flores, Dom Smith, that ain't the answer. The right side of the infield is not what it needs to be. No. The right side of the infield, and really the catcher spot too. So you really don't have answers anywhere except for on the left side of the infield and a couple other spots. I mean, obviously Devers is your DH and maybe your first baseman down the road, but you don't have a second baseman. The outfield's wide open. You need to keep building your pitching staff. They're not there yet. They're not there yet. But I think it is time to make an evaluation of some of your guys and make a big deal. And I think, the Giants have a lot of interesting players that also would have some interest to other teams. Now, I don't think that they would move Jung-Hoo Lee because I don't think anybody would take Jung-Hoo Lee's contract.
Well, he's not going anywhere.
But Buster didn't sign that contract.
I know, but they marketed it's like the Panda hats. They're getting $40,000 a game.
Not because of Jung-Hoo Lee,
but the whole aura of the Giants and Jung-Hoo Lee and the excitement and the Giants baseball is back. They're drawing and they're exciting and they had a good start. Now they've hit this malaise, but the baseball calendar forces you to reevaluate July 31st. It forces you to do it. And you have a general manager who has got to do that now. And that's where he's got to improve the ball club. You just can't say, okay, it's July 31st. This is who we are, and we'll take a shot and see what happens. That doesn't work. And it may work for the fan base because they get attached to players and they like seeing them and all that stuff. And they are coming out. So you may get away with it. But in the ultimate terms of building a team, you're not building a team by hanging on to any of these players. Luciano is in the minor leagues. What's going on with this?
He's trade bait. He's total trade bait.
Matos, correct. I would trade Matos too if someone wanted to take that project on. He just looks uncomfortable here, and there's just something about him. Either they don't trust him or whatever it is, but there's just something about him. Ramos and Matos, I really think, would be worth getting rid of. I really do.
Well, it's funny. It's one of those things where, nobody wants the guys that you don't want. It's you got to find. You're gonna, in the Devers trade. I mean, the Giants made the Kevin Mitchell trade in '87. They traded Chris Brown. At the time that deal came down, Chris Brown was like weeks from having, he was like an all-star. He was the Giants all-star. He'd been in an all-star game. So you were trading an all-star young third baseman. And the prevailing wisdom at the time was, how can you possibly trade Chris Brown? So, and it wound up being a great trade. The Devers trade, you wound up moving a player in Harrison that I think a lot of people prior to the trade thought was a fixture. And I think if the Giants are going to get anything at the deadline, they're going to have to move players that maybe we think of right now as fixtures. And that could be a Ramos. That could be a Jung-Hoo Lee. That could be, a Flores. That could be it could be a number of guys. It could be a Bailey. It could be somebody that you think, man, he's part of our squad, and he's not. They may have to move some foundation piece type players to get the kinds of players that they need to build with.
I think you're right, and I love the O'Neill Cruz idea with the Pirates.
He's fun.
You want to read that, Eric?
Sure. You got Rob Iman donates $6. This team is undisciplined. We need to eat Melvin's option. We need to be in the market for a new manager who is a bit more analytics minded. Well, didn't we have that before? Bob Melvin showed up, a little bit analytic minded guy, and Gabe Kapler, and everyone wanted to run out of a town.
Look, they're not doing anything. They're not stealing bases. They're not running. They're not doing anything. I don't like that. And right. I think there have been a couple of pitching situations where, he's hung with the starters too long, and he hasn't brought Rodriguez in at the right time. But
my concern with Melvin is he's never won in October.
But try to do something. I mean, they did a hit and run. It was beautiful today.
And they stranded him at third.
I know, but still, you had first and third. Smith got the hit, and Yastrzemski went to third, and then Bailey and Wisely strike out. This is what we're dealing with. So for Melvin, and I said this for years, try to do something. Get some speed, build your team around, get some identity, get some speed, get some young players. There are young players all over baseball. The Marlins, all of a sudden, they're a team that you have to deal with, and they've got that Stowers kid who's playing great ball. They've got the catcher who's going to be a star with the Marlins. Look at Washington, the young players they've got. Colorado even has young players.
Toronto.
Where are look at Toronto and the way they hit the ball the other way, and they play smart baseball. You got guys like Devers, Adames, Chapman. They're the middle of your order. Okay, you've decided to go with them, but you got to build around them. And where are the young players? Where is the speed? Where is all that? And that's where you got to make these trades and bring in those kind of players and hope that you hit on some of them. That's what's got to happen, I think.
Did this happen in the game? According to the report I'm reading online, Buster Olney is saying that the Giants are going after Charlie Morton. Did he say that in the broadcast?
It's been well known that name has come up around what the Giants may consider.
Anyway, Charlie Morton, that's an interesting one because Morton is 41 and he's been pitching in the big league since 2008.
It's just
I like that name. And now I was told that Morton wanted to stay east and that he was was not going to consider any teams west. But you know what? I think Charlie Morton is the kind of arm that I would try to acquire if I were the Giants because he's got proven postseason ability. He could be significant for you, and I don't think it's going to cost you anything because of his age and just where he is in his career. I mean, I don't think it will cost you a lot. But Charlie Morton's the kind of guy that I think would be good for the young arms in the Giants, system.
Still got Verlander here.
Right. But I mean, you got to get to the finish line, and you don't have enough starting pitching. And Morton would, is an Oriole, and maybe that could be part of a bigger trade. Maybe you could do if you could do something where you could acquire an arm like a Morton for today and for this year, but then also acquire Adley Rushman and a couple position players, and then have your fans dreaming the future. And then, I think something like that is probably what they need.
Tampa Bay is always ready to move people. How about the second baseman from Tampa Bay?
Brandon Lowe.
Yeah. How about him?
He would be good. They say he may be available at the deadline.
Yeah. Tampa Bay is falling out of it rapidly, so they're going to.
They also have Littell. They have Littell. Littell would be a good fit. But yeah, something like that. But I definitely think Buster needs to make a move, because the whole thing is so stale and their offense is so stagnant, and their pitching, they've run out of arms. It's like they're either going to have to start promoting their AAA guys. We very easily could see not just Carson Whisenhunt, but Carson Ragsdale. I mean, they may have to promote both of Whisenhunt and Ragsdale if they can't get an arm here.
Well, what about Seymour?
They got Seymour. Seymour's up.
And he's going to get the.
I like Seymour too. I like Seymour, but I mean, Seymour is a huge guy with a good fastball, good stuff. I like Seymour. I'm not sure if he's a reliever or a starter, but yeah, I like him.
Yeah, and they need speed. They need some youth. The Wisleys of the world, the Baileys of the world. The Matoses, the Ramoses, they are who they are. I want guys who can hit the ball a little harder, can control the at-bat, and can run a little bit and give you some identity. Not you're going to get Churio or Merrill or people like that, but they're all over baseball. These kinds of players are all over baseball. The Giants need to tap into that. Either you develop them, you bring them up and develop them, or you trade for him. But
Cedric Mullins is out there with Baltimore, another guy.
Yeah,
can run a little bit.
You can't sit around and wait. And they're sitting around right now and waiting. There's some urgency, I think, right now to improve this team.
You think why it's taking so long? Maybe they're trying to work one of those long-term type of deals, like controllable type player, and it's just taking a little bit longer.
With who?
Whether it's Baltimore or Cleveland, you think maybe there's discussions going on and they just got to kind of hash it out?
The trend is now to try to sign the younger players, before they get to arbitration and give up some of their free agent years. But I'm just looking at the Giants team and I'm watching these games. These games are torture.
They are.
I mean, they are. They're 1 or 2 run games every single night. It's just the same thing.
We mentioned the Orioles. They also have Ramon Urias.
Urias.
Right?
Oh,
they have Urias. Morton and Urias. I mean, starting pitcher, second baseman. Isn't Urias second baseman? Or I'm thinking of different Urias.
No, he's an infielder.
Isn't Urias with the A's? I thought he was with the A's.
So there's Luis Urias. I mean, the A's have
the guy
Luis Urias.
Went to the Orioles, didn't they?
Right. The guy who was from Cuba, he went to the A's, right? I believe.
I don't know. We've lost track of the Uriases.
Yeah, Luis. Oh no, he's from I saying Cuba. I'm saying he's from Mexico. He started. Luis Urias has started with the Padres in 2018, then was with the Brewers, Boston, Seattle. Now he's with the A's. He's a pretty good player.
Yeah.
The second baseman, Luis Urias. He's a right-handed hitter. He's got a little power. Late 20s. He's interesting.
They played 65 1 or 2 run games out of 106.
Whew.
How about that? I mean, seriously,
ridiculous.
Just think about that. 65 of them, and they're 31 and 34 in 1 or 2 run games. So that's the hitting. And it's been that way all year. So,
wow.
But as I say, the baseball calendar forces you to do something now.
Right.
The purpose of the show is to, what are they going to do and what are the areas that they have to improve in? And I think we hit them.
Yep.
Definitely need starting pitching. Wouldn't hurt to have another bullpen guy. And clearly the right fielder, first baseman, the catcher, and second baseman. And if they can get an upgrade in any of those positions, it would help.
And they're probably going to have to move somebody that we don't really think of as even available. They're probably going to have to move some kind of foundation piece. And it'll be interesting to see if they can, they didn't sign the Jung-Hoo Lee trade deal. It's like, I don't think they're going to move Jung-Hoo Lee, but I could see him being part of a bigger trade. I mean, what's Brian Reynolds' contract situation with the Pirates right now?
Yeah, he's in the middle of a long-term deal, isn't he? He signed a couple of years
I'm
ago.
looking his contract up right now.
He extended a couple of years ago, if I'm not
Not
mistaken.
having a great year, Brian Reynolds.
He signed an 8-year, $106.7 million deal that goes through 2030. So he's this year at 12, next year at 14, 27 at 15, 28 at 15, 29 at 15, 30 at 15, 31 at 20, club option with a $2 million buyout. So he's got a ton of bad money on that contract. I know, I hear what you're saying about Jung-Hoo Lee. He's here and there, this and that. But if you take on Brian Reynolds, you probably get them to take on Jung-Hoo Lee. I'm just saying, Reynolds has enough money due him that if the Giants wanted to make a big deal with the Pirates, I bet you they could get the Pirates to take Jung-Hoo Lee.
Well, the Pirates have Keller. They've got Bednar. They've got O'Neill Cruz. I mean, if you really
Andrew Haney, they've got Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. They've got Reynolds. They've got O'Neill Cruz. They've got guys. Bednar. I mean, they could solve a lot of the Giants' problems.
I'm gonna predict that Ramos is going to be traded this week. That's my prediction.
Maybe.
And the Ramos, Luciano, Matos, something in that crowd is going this week.
I could definitely see big deals with the Pirates or Orioles. Definitely.
Yeah, it's going to happen. It's going to
Orioles
happen.
have a lot of pieces too.
When we do the show again next Sunday, we'll find out.
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
I mean, here's the thing. I mean, if all the Giants got out of this year was the year that they added bats like Devers and O'Neill Cruz, that would be a good year as far as I'm concerned. If the Giants didn't go to the playoffs, if they, at the end of this year you got O'Neill Cruz and Rafi Devers added to your lineup, I think that would be I'd be very happy with that.
You got to worry about the pitching a little bit now. The pitching looks so strong, and with Harrison and Birdsong and Roop and the solid players, and they were they could be stars, and all of a sudden Hicks was another one. All of a sudden they're all gone. They're all gone now. You're left with Ray, Verlander, and Webb, and that's not going to do it. It's not going to. But
I mean, Robbie Ray is not going to be Robbie Ray the next time the Giants are ready to contend. He's such a blue chip arm at this point.
Yeah.
I there's no way. As much as I love, I don't want to give up the year. If the Yankees offered me Spencer Jones for Robbie Ray, I'm doing it. I'll take one step backwards, and I don't know who's starting tomorrow night. All right, so what? But if I can get a foundation bat that can be a big time guy, and I'm moving Robbie Ray. Robbie Ray's a footnote.
Absolutely.
In 3 years.
The right fielder, big right fielder, good prospect. Absolutely.
You get
All
Spencer Jones, man. Robbie Ray, you can have him.
My prediction is Ramos goes, and my sub predictions are Matos, Luciano go. Who do you say?
I'll make a prediction too. I'll say the Giants make a big deal for the Pirates and move and pick up Brian Reynolds and O'Neill Cruz and move Jung-Hoo Lee in that deal. And I'll say the Giants and Orioles also make a big deal, and I say Bailey goes as part of a package for Adley Rutschman. Yep,
Okay.
Adley Rutschman.
I like
And
it. Eric.
and I think Charlie Morton comes in that deal as well to give the
Yeah,
Giants the
let's-
arm.
let's-
I think I could see the Giants trading for some arms and trading away, but I think they'll hold on to Ray. They'll make a deal with the Orioles. They'll make a deal with the Pirates. That's what I see.
All right, I like it. Okay. Where'd Eric go? Eric, I wanted to get Eric's prediction there. All right, I think
Did
Eric.
maybe he bounced. Did he
No, he
or
had-
didn't?
He had to start Dan's show.
Oh, look at Eric's very, very, very. He's a
Yeah.
he's a man. He's multitasking.
He's a busy guy, but yeah, we'll get Eric's.
I can only imagine who Danny's trading. Oh my God, Dan's
Yeah.
making trades left and right.
Well, I've said this, after the All-Star break, teams disappear and things happen, and that's sort of what's happening to the Giants. I will tell you this, and I looked ahead at the September schedule. Not that it really matters that much right now, but they got a lot of Arizona, and they got a lot of St. Louis, and they got a lot of the Rockies that month, and then they got some with the Dodgers. Arizona's going to be depleted. They're going to move their pitchers. The Cardinals are going to fall apart, and the Rockies are going to move everybody. The Giants actually have a nice September schedule if they can get it together. So I'm just going to throw it out there. You got to get there, but September may not be the gauntlet that we thought it was going to be.
Well, it should. It'll be interesting. I definitely think Buster would love to make a big deal and get in October. I think he's trying to set a new tone, and I think he would love to get into October somehow, some way.
Well, they're going to have to pitch their way in, and right now they're not capable of pitching their way in. The hitting was always going to be an issue, and it got a little bit better. It looked a little bit better. They're hitting the ball a little harder, but the pitching for me is really a real question mark now.
Oh, it just kind of fell apart. First of all, they broke the cardinal rule. First of all, the Giants broke the cardinal rule. The cardinal rule says you never have enough major league pitching and you never trade anybody who's a viable major league starting pitcher. And they did it. They traded 2 starting pitchers in the middle of the year because they, felt like they were flush with enough depth. And then all of a sudden, as the innings started to mount, some of their young guys started to evaporate. And I don't think Birdsong's not big league. I just think he needs a reset. It happens. He'll be back. I just think that was the case. But I think the Devers trade was a good trade. I think the Giants would make that trade again. But I do think you're right in that some of the pieces to the puzzle that we may view as foundation pieces really aren't. And maybe Patrick Bailey might be one of those. And maybe Ramos may be one of those. And maybe Jung-Hoo Lee may be one of those. These guys may be good players, but they may not be foundation pieces on the next Giants World Series winning club.
And it may not happen this week, but it's going to happen. Ramos is going to go. That's my prediction on that. And Bailey's going to go too.
Yeah, I think I know it sounds dramatic as you're sitting here to say that because, Giants fans are like, oh, those are our guys. You're right. They are your guys. But I agree with Marty. I think that, Buster is not going to be, wed to these guys. I think he's going to keep the long range view plan in place, which is whether you win or lose this year, you have to make a deal at the deadline for somebody who's about 2025 and 2026, because I think it's really important what deal Buster makes. If he makes a deal for, a reliever who's a free agent at the end of the year and trades something, a good minor league player, that's going to be viewed as a loss. But if he somehow picks up O'Neal Cruz and makes two and he's viewed as a foundation piece type player. Somebody in the chat said, hey, Brian Reynolds has the Giants on his no trade list. You're right. I forgot about that. The Giants are one of 6 teams on his no trade list. But if I'm not saying that you have to acquire Reynolds. But that is the kind of guy that I'd be after.
You need an impact player. And now
Right.
you've got your carrier in Devers. He's your big
Mhm.
carrier. Adames is a carrier for you. He could hit 25. He can do that. Chapman sort of is a carrier. So you need another good, solid player to go with those guys. Another solid player. And it could be a left fielder. It could be a center fielder. It could be a right fielder. Could be a catcher. It could be a first baseman or a second baseman. That's where they got to look. But they got to make some young, under 25, under 24 impact players from the minor league systems somewhere and get them into the Giants system. That's what I feel has to happen.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question. And you know what? Sometimes young players need a change of scenery. I like Ramos, but maybe you're right. Maybe he needs a little bit of a change of scenery. I think O'Neal Cruz is in that category right now. He's a young player. They kowtowed to him a little too much. He's gotten kind of a big head. He's not, hasn't been hustling out the balls the way he should. He's a young guy, but you know what? He could probably use a change of scenery. I think that's the kind of piece that I would absolutely look to add, because that guy could win an MVP in 2027. And then all of a sudden you're looking great for having the vision and the foresight to acquire him.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's Eric. You got a prediction? I said my guys, Ramos and Matos Luciano. Larry's got Ray. Did you say Ray? Who did you say, Larry?
No, I'm saying Baltimore and the Pirates. I could see them making big trades involving Baltimore and the Pirates. Jung-Hoo Lee. I could see Jung-Hoo Lee going. I could see O'Neal Cruz coming. I could definitely see definitely see Bailey and an Adley Rushman trade. I think Bailey and Sam Basallo are probably a good fit together in Baltimore. And Rushman is the upgrade probably that Buster's looking for behind the plate.
Okay. All right. I love it. All right. Eric,
I was thinking Wisenhunt may be part of a trade, but I don't know. It looks like Giants might need his services. But Wisenhunt, Luciano, I could see being moved. Ramos, I'm warming up to the Ramos trade. If it's going to get you someone like Stephen Kwan or something like that, then I'm okay with moving on Ramos. I don't know what is up with him, but I think I've seen enough. I mean, maybe it's a knee-jerk reaction, but yeah, that's my picks. Wisenhunt, Luciano, Ramos.
Ramos can swing the bat. He just has trouble in the field, and his baseball instincts are not great.
His instinct. That's a good point.
It's not great right now. So we'll see. Casey Schmidt, throw him in there.
He may be.
They like him. I think they like Casey Schmidt. I think they like his backup defense that he can play. I think they like that. All right, so we'll see. 3 with the Pirates, and then we got the Mets next week. And I know the Sunday game's an early game. So if we do this, it'll be at a more reasonable time next Sunday. Larry, what's new with the 49ers? How's that going?
Well, they actually had a player today in training camp go down with a neck injury, and it was very scary. They strapped him to a gurney and took him off on a stretcher. Teron Jackson, young defensive end, and just the pads haven't even come on, guys. I mean, the pads don't come on until tomorrow, but yeah, he went down, and man, everybody took a knee, and we were sitting there for 20 minutes as they the medics attended to him, and they took him to Stanford. He did regain consciousness. He had full feeling in his extremities, but that's always a scary thing. So that was kind of one of the things that happened today. The Niners also have a rookie running back. 49ers have done an amazing job. It seems like every year they draft a running back early, and then they take a running back late, and the running back that they take late outperforms the running back that they drafted early. Well, this year they took Jordan James out of Oregon in the 5th round, but they took Corey Kiner, a running back out of Cincinnati, and they got him as an undrafted player. And Kiner had a day today. He was fantastic. He's got contact balance. He made an amazing catch. He's a real player. Niner fans are about to discover him in the preseason here in a couple weeks.
All right, very good. Well, this is going to be a big week. The baseball calendar demands it.
Mhm.
So, and someone,
Yes.
Eddie F says we need contact hitters. We need above a 270 average. I've said that last week, and I agree 100%. You can't win with everybody hitting 220. 220
Right.
hitters are not going to carry you when the money's on the line. And unfortunately, a lot of that happened this weekend. 0 for 23 with runners in scoring position. So, all right.
Wow.
Len,
Wow.
have a good week. And
Yep.
Eric, Ryan, everyone did a great job. And we'll do this again next weekend.
Sounds
So,
good.
all right.
Sounds good. Thanks,
have a-
everybody. Have a good day.
Have a good night. This is going to be interesting Thursday. I can't wait to see what happens. We may be on the air Thursday if something crazy happens.
Maybe.
Especially if we're right.
Right. All right, guys. Enjoy
Have a
your
good-
weekend.
All right.
Have a good night.
Take care.
Thank you kindly. Enjoy the next week. We've got a whole bunch of baseball to speak on here at Marty and Friends. Marty and Friends.
All right, Eric.